Hello, welcome back to Molo and Lave Wargaming. This is the setup for the December 20th, 1941 turn. So, where we left off, we had just basically finished off our mulligans, or our replays of the turn where I gave my opponent a mulligan. And essentially we ended up losing track of the Lexington and Enterprise off the coast of Australia. We've got a pretty good idea where they might be. So the chase isn't quite over, but it's nowhere near as hot as it was a few days ago. We're also advancing quite a bit in Malaya and Luzon. Captured a bunch of bases the other day, and things are starting to heat up over there. So let's get right into the setup then. So starting with China, Hong Kong, we tried to take it last turn. We didn't quite get it, and the fatigue is building up. I prefer not to fight when I start to get hesitant when it's in the 20s. 30s is definitely too high. Disruption totals are a little on the high side. So right now I think it makes sense to rest these guys a little bit. We've got these other guys coming in. I'm leaving them on combat for now because these guys could cross the river at any time, and when that happens I don't want to be in the wrong mode. But in the meantime our bombers are continuing to harass these guys out in the open, and we'll get on that soon. And hopefully once we take Hong Kong, we can just take that army and just relocate it straight to Luzon. We're also closing in on Chusin over here. Got some contact over here. This one we've been in contact with for a while, but we've just been letting them sit there because it's not really affecting us in any way. We lost a battle here. And what's going to happen because of that is we're just moving a fresh division and a tank regiment over. We'll kick his butt, and then we'll continue to start clearing these units around Xinjiang. And we're going to hopefully get a breakthrough on this road so we can start moving around behind. And then in the setup of the turn, I think I mentioned too that we'll be able to eliminate these guys or force them into a retreat. So we'll have this area secure in a matter of days, probably. So everything in China is going really smooth. I really don't have too much complaints there. Having a quick look at Burma, a lot of these guys that are right behind the unit that's already in Tavoy are very close to coming over. So it doesn't make any sense to try to attack with this unit in Tavoy yet, so he's just going to wait. Let these other units catch up. Champhan, we're moving this tank regiment out. That tank regiment's probably going to head up to Burma once it's back onto the rail. I mentioned in the post-analysis last turn that I was going to move the zeros possibly, and that's exactly what I did. There's no fighters in Rangoon. The AVG has pretty much gone all in on Singapore, so that's where the zeros are needed. Speaking of which, as much as I'd like to kind of keep sweeping with Oscars while they're nice and close, we got to get the zeros in on this action, especially with, not many of my Oscars are the right Oscars, and we're seeing the P-40 being really resilient over Singapore. So this Yamata detachment is the squadron that was in Bangkok. They're getting the first sweep assignment. Over here, we're trying to get the zeros involved here as escorts. So we'll have airstrikes on the airfield and hopefully the port as well, with basically heavy zero and Oscar escort going in. Really hoping we can nullify some of this air power and then start to exploit that a little bit. It's starting to get to the point where I think the Mersing play is never going to happen. So if we can get this rail line to open up, and that could happen pretty quickly, because these guys are just about there. If this rail opens up, the best move might just be to land the Mersing force here in Kotabaru and just start railing them up to here and letting them have at it. So that's something that's probably going to happen. Over here at Taiping, obviously we're attacking here. And we're going to try to sneak the tank regiment up when that happens. Further north, the Imperial Guards Division is just about to get involved here. They've moved 40. What's it to move one? I think it's 45, 46. So they should be in there soon. And then we can work on eliminating these guys. So we had a few Sally squadrons that were stationed here, and they're basically running out of usefulness. So these bases aren't big enough to transfer them to. Kuantan and Kotabaru are too crowded as it is. So I figured the best thing to do with these Sallies was actually just to relocate them to another theater. So they moved to Vigan, and what that's going to allow us to do over here is divide our bombers up, but still kind of have a pretty good concentration. So we've now got 3 Sally squadrons that are going to fixate on burning Clark down, basically. And while that's going on, that still leaves us 2 squadrons to deal with these guys over in Cabanatuan. What I'd really like to happen here, not necessarily for the 20th, but in the coming days, is to go ahead and win this fight with these guys. For the time being, I'd rather just bait them, because there's a lot of troops. 15,000 troops, 145 guns, 44 vehicles. That looks stronger than what I've got here. So I'd rather bait him into an attack rather than force myself into something. We are in the clear here, which isn't good. Speaking of which, I think I have an engineer, right? I might as well build level 1 forts while we're sitting there. Yeah, there is an engineer unit there. But we want to keep these guys disrupted so they can't just attack me and win, especially since we're in clear terrain and potentially vulnerable. But as soon as we can kick these guys out, we want to get to Manila, because we're looking at the number of forces that have gathered in Clark, and it looks like they're planning a fairly firm defense there. So we want to start isolating Clark. And one of the most important parts of that is cutting off their access to these supply-producing industry factories in Manila. Now, since this guy's kind of going off-roading, I don't really need to worry about him too much. At least not directly. So my 2 tank regiments are going to assemble here, and then we're just going to push. So if this guy's still here, and I hope he is, he should be, he'll be facing a tank regiment coming through the smaller roads. This looks like a really weak unit, so I'm guessing the other tank regiment's just going to blow through them. So we'll blow through this guy. We'll maybe end up with, 2 tank regiments on 1 here, blow through there, and then they're here. And then we can, turn the tide there. And, hopefully those guys retreat to Manila, so we don't basically get everybody concentrated over in Clark. But I won't say we're at the end game yet, but we're definitely making progress. So for now, Clark's a bombing priority, but we'll see if that shifts to Cabanatuan on the coming turns. I've ordered 1 bombardment of Taytay. I think what I want to do with Taytay and Batangas is, as long as there's ships being reported, get 1 bombardment a day. We did have a bombardment of Batangas last turn, and it didn't hit anything. Disappointing, but Recon says there's still planes, or still ships there, so I'm going to keep hitting it. With this unit forced into the jungle, I'm going to send some fibs to pick this guy up. They're on the way, but it's probably about time to make a move on Ambon. So we're going to collect these guys. We've been collecting. Oh, they're actually fully loaded already. So this Naval Guard unit, we're going to get in there. Speaking of which, no, you guys don't want to see me click buttons, but I'm thinking of things I didn't think of as I'm talking. So we want to make sure Ambon's still under recon, so that if they've landed reinforcements there, we know about it. Got 2 carrier task forces heading back to Babel Daub. I'm routing them around these 3 submarines, so we're not running them over. Meanwhile, Jakes are going to be harassing these submarines quite a bit, and there's also a destroyer going after them. I don't have a lot of confidence in the destroyer. It doesn't have deep reaching depth charges, and that's deep water. I don't know. Hopefully he comes shallow and wants to mess with us, and that'll make it easier. But for now, that is what it is. And not much to say at Wake. We're moving our people back in, and then these guys will make their way over to Guam. When we moved Betty's over to Rabaul, there was a unit of Claudes that was associated with them. In the previous turns, I used the Taiho escort carrier to move those Claudes back to Japan. We upgraded them to Zeros, and now those Zeros are beginning to fly off the Taiho back to Truk. There's another Claude squadron here, so I think that'll be the next one that we pick up and take back to Japan for conversion. But for now, we do have a few Zeros, 16, over here associated with these Nels and Bettys. So down here, really the only one of these task forces that I'm really interested in is this tanker convoy. Now, it'll be nice to get better classifications on some of these, and hopefully that'll happen. But basically, Carrier Division 1's been assigned to close in on these guys and stay far enough north that it's unlikely that these tankers are going to be able to get away. Are we necessarily going to strike them with all these potential targets around? I don't know, but it's really worth a shot. If we can get rid of a replenishment group, that's going to make the enemy carriers that much less mobile in the future. And then as for finding Lex and Enterprise, it's highly likely they're down around here, around Bundaberg right now. So I'm just going to keep pressing down. For now, yeah, just staying in the lane, basically. I think it's really likely they're going to go to Sydney next, because running at high speed means they're going to need to refuel right away. Heck, these guys have been running at high speed quite a bit already. They need maintenance, so they're going to want to go to a base with a shipyard sooner rather than later. So at least for now, Brisbane, Sydney are going to get a visit. I'm looking for them to go over to Noumea. I'm moving this submarine over to the other side to see if maybe he wants to make a pit stop there. Hopefully I moved into the right hex. No, I didn't. Let's move him one over. There we go. Then, of course, we've got a lot of traffic over by Fiji, so if these guys start picking up carrier aircraft, we've got a pretty good idea where they went. If they do end up here and, our carriers are still way back here, then I'm probably just going to call off the hunt at that point. But hey, having these guys go down the Australian coast might be pretty lucrative. We might find plenty of targets out here. We're already starting to see some, right? So it won't be a total loss. Alright, I think I'm going to leave it there. We will see you for the combat replay. Thank you. And we're back. December 20th, 1941. Combat replay now underway. It's going to be a while before we get true night fighters, so these night intercepts are mostly not going to go that well. Still no damage. Yeah, no surprise here. Didn't expect this destroyer to be able to get anything. Yeah, the water's just too deep for us. Alright. So, last time we took a recon flight here, there were still ships present. Yep. Hit a tanker. And there's the PG that a turn or two ago we'd only damaged. And it's still just damaged. Oh, come on. Taking shots at unescorted ships and not finishing them off. All the way over by Marcus, huh? Wonder if this guy's actually headed to Japan. No, we've been training up a lot of like light bomber squadrons and float planes for ASW duty since the beginning of the war, so hopefully we have some ASW skill racked up. Very low fighter numbers at Singapore. That's unexpected. We get two. How's the weather? Light clouds. Hopefully that's good news for follow-up strikes. Very disappointing that we don't have fighter escorts with these and that we didn't have a sweeper out first. Alright. Getting really good hits though. It's been a long time since we've had a port strike actually really deliver to Manila. Alright, so confirmed sinking of a submarine here. Plus an AP went down. This guy's pulled a lot of escort. Yeah, a lot of those escorts are probably intended for those raids on Singapore. It's a good thing there's no cap left over Singapore. Severe storms limited the damage there. Good thing we extended our cap out over here. Didn't see anyone get shot down there. A few damaged aircraft. But doesn't look like they did any damage on the ground. Chase off some, I think those are Dutch PBYs based on the colors. Much more afraid of US PBYs that might be carrying torpedoes. I don't think these guys can. Could be wrong. We had detected, you know, I don't even know what kind of aircraft we saw here. Presumably bombers. That's what these guys were coming here for, but we don't see any report of aircraft damaged. Might be an empty base. Got some activity over here. It's not a place I'd like to see any ships right now. May have to send some Bettys and Nels back to the Marshalls. Okay, so we damaged a Hudson, so somebody's there. Wonder who we spotted this time. Interesting that it's 13 Nels again. So it seems like there's one squadron in particular that's going out on naval strike duty while the other guys do not do naval strikes. I think it's also pretty interesting that we got rid of pretty much all of the cap over Singapore. This is still taking place in Singapore's hex, but these guys do have cap left over. So the enemy gets through to the bombers. Had been a bit concerned that so many Oscars and I think a few Zeros went to, what is that, Taiping? Alright, we got away with it. Marblehead takes a hit, 2 hits. Looks like the Marblehead was already damaged. Alright, well, we got away with a pretty light escort there. 1-0, one P-40 going down. And odds are we just sank the Marblehead. These guys are attacking an empty base at this point. Well, maybe not completely empty. These valves are still probably based there. What are these guys chasing us? Alright. Reinforcements arriving at Sinkawang. That should be the end of the drama here. Reinforcements also arriving at Rabaul. Of course, the shore batteries here are pretty formidable. Or maybe they were. Got no hits here. To the land attacks. Got a blocking force on the road east or west to Siam. We defeat them. We don't pay much of a price here. Enemy's got pretty significant combat and non-combat casualties. Not bad at all. I think this is a group I'm just trying to make sure doesn't make it across the river to the west. Another unit taking rather severe casualties, and we're not paying a high price for it. And here's another. Alright, things moving along in the Philippines. Attack at Lingayen. Look like we've got overwhelming force here. Alright, we even got one to surrender. The rest went to Clark. Basically paid very little for this. Enemy squads or enemy squad destruction is quite severe here. Now attacking at Taiping, now that the infantry has finally caught up with the tank regiment. Looks overwhelming. Gotta surrender there too. Yeah, didn't even suffer anything destroyed there. That was all for free. The enemy loses quite a bit of vehicles, probably because of the number of base forces there. We also previously had reason to believe that this field regiment were anti-tank guns, so we're seeing 21 guns destroyed, so hopefully that's a substantial amount of the anti-tank threat in the area. Alright, we've been expecting this. Deliberate attack at Cabanatuan. Yeah, they've got pretty good numbers here. And we suffer a defeat. Our troops were fatigued. They were just sitting there. Yeah, so that hurts. Let's see what they had here. Plenty of infantry regiments. Yeah, hopefully we can keep this enemy unit here and catch back up with them. I do want to keep them, or catch them while they're in the open and not give them a chance to get back to Clark or Manila. We've got 2 tank regiments closing in on them. I don't know if that's going to be enough. But good to know they have 367 AV here. Yeah, numbers now that reinforcements arriving are looking much better. At Rebel, the numbers don't look any better yet. I mentioned Hong Kong was on the brink before. These Allied numbers look pretty horrible. And the bombardment isn't even going their way. Shock attack on us. We outnumber them pretty badly. 1 to 6 odds. Can't even destroy a squad of ours. Meanwhile, they take pretty... I wouldn't call that heavy casualties. Well, lots of squads disabled. So they're gonna get it. Alright, let's do a quick post-turn analysis here. You can see this is a pretty good turn for us in terms of victory points. Not one of the highest gains for us, but a significant gain nonetheless, and clearly this is coming mostly from bases that we took. Looking at our losses for the day, we only had 6 total. Most of these are looking pretty random. We've got 3 ops losses in there, with just 2 air-to-air shoot-downs, 1 flak shoot-down. Did not take very much damage at all in the air. But it was a pretty light day for the enemy in the air, too. We managed 4 of these enemy P-40s. I only think I saw 3, so again we've got another credited due to crashing at the base or something like that. Pretty light for them too. We did get credit for sinking the Marblehead, so that was Nels attacking at Singapore. They're mentioning the Narwhal sinking by being scuttled at Manila. We had an 800 kilogram hit on a submarine at Manila. I don't think it was the Narwhal. Maybe more going on there than they're revealing. Just looking at this really briefly, just to compare the air losses today versus the rest of the campaign. Although we do have to disregard this huge spike over here. That, of course, was part of the original turn for the 18th. So we threw that out, but Tracker doesn't know that. Alright, let's take a look at the map real quick and see if there's anything that happened on this turn that's interesting that we can talk about before we wrap it up. So we suffered a shock attack over here, which probably means the enemy is highly disrupted. Meanwhile, our troops are doing just fine, so that's clearly an attack indicated on our end. Hong Kong looks pretty much done for. Yeah, our troops have basically no disruption. Fatigue's a factor, but the unit that's fatigued is just an 83 AV group, while we have, 38th Division is who's taking the lead, and they've only got 10 fatigue. So I think it's time to attack again in Hong Kong, and maybe this will be the time. We're now in contact with the enemy at Chuxin, and we do have recon flights reporting. Troop presence looks pretty low, so it's probably one combat unit, one support unit would be my guess. Up against that, we've got a division plus a regiment plus artillery and armor support. So that looks pretty good for us. What's the terrain here? Wooded rough. Decent defensive modifier. We're back in contact with these guys that defeated one of our units earlier. Further contact about to take place over here to the west of Sunyang. We defeated the enemy unit on the road here. I can't tell for sure which way they retreated. I guess it's probably these guys. No reason we can't keep pushing on. We defeated an enemy unit here, but we did not clear the hex. So that's fine, we can just keep fighting for a while. And it looks like we've got additional reinforcements just about ready to push through up here. Plenty of enemy ships detected in Rangoon. For all I know, that's more reinforcements arriving. Disappointed we didn't get a strike out of it. Those numbers don't look huge to me. So hopefully not too much reinforcements present. I think it was just the cavalry regiment that was here previously, so they're backed up with an infantry regiment. Probably ready to start attacking here. Enemy forces at Tavoy look weak. We've crossed into Temulo. So be ready to take that right away. And of course we had our victory in Taiping. Base looks like it's in pretty good condition. Captured a small amount of supplies. We didn't have anyone pursue. Though our tank regiment was set to do so. Basically no fighters reported at Singapore right now. More or less consistent with the combat outcomes. I asked for a recon of Johori Baru, looking to see if we could find more enemy fighters. Clearly we haven't. Mersing's also under observation, which has 0 air capacity, so it can't be them. The enemy's running out of places to hide fighters. Palembang's under observation. That's not where they are. Ooh. Look at this. 7 enemy ships, including cruisers, sighted at Ketapang. Now the enemy does apparently know that we moved our covering force up here. If they wanted to take advantage of that over on the coast of Singapore, it's a long way to go to get up to here. Over at Kuching, we've delivered more aircraft engineers. So hopefully this remaining construction is going to go fine, or fast. We did get to level 3 on the airbase. Gotta keep going. Yeah, got to level 3 exactly and didn't get any further. I'd say we probably have enough to take the base here. Got hits over here at Tay on ships that are left, but it still looks like there's more. Recon's active. Ships still reported there. Same story over here. Ships still reported and pretty significant ones. So finally, we've landed additional troops over in Kotabo, so we don't have that partial garrison problem anymore. Of course, a lot of these troops are just going to want to move immediately to Cagayan, but hopefully I'll remember to keep at least enough there to manage the garrison. Very little information coming through on Manila. I'd like to know how many troops I still have there. Cabanatuan still reportedly has our troops here, even though I could have sworn it said that we were defeated and retreated. In any case, our fatigue and disruption numbers are very high here. So not in a great position there. Yeah, especially since we didn't retreat, apparently. More than any other mission here now. This is going to be the priority for the bombers. Elements of one tank regiment have arrived here. There's still more coming. The tanks moving through the middle are moving on slower roads and still haven't arrived. A little concerned about these guys. I mean, if they manage to get through to San Fernando, that's not that big of a deal. It's just hard for me to say how long it's going to take for them to complete this move. It should be a very slow move because of the lack of roads. But I don't actually know how long it's going to take them. Well, let's do this. That's Jungle Rough. Jungle Rough, and we're pretty sure those are vehicles, right? 2 miles a day, what is it, 46? 23 days is how long it should take them, so it's not like they've been making the move the whole campaign, so we're probably good there. I don't think anything was going on in the Celebes area. That all looked clear. Our carriers are about to arrive for their gas and go at Babel Doab. Looks like the enemy doesn't know they're here. We're up to 4 subs sitting in that position. Might be enough for me to detach some destroyers from these carrier groups if any of them have the Mod 2 depth charges. Two ships moving east here. Don't know who that would be. But they're clearly in range of torpedo bombers flying out of the Marshalls. So it's time to move some of these guys back that have been deployed to truck. It's not like these guys at truck are hunting aircraft carriers anymore. So we can resume kind of normal operations there. Was pleased to see this group did not take hits from the shore batteries. That was something that I was concerned about. We've got more troops arriving. originally slated for the Shortlands. They're headed to Rebel now. So if we could safely land additional troops if we need it, they're on the way. Replenishment group is making their way out here. Their own fuel status looks pretty good, in spite of moving at high speed for several turns. Wow, like nothing detected here. Before there were task forces all over the place here, when we were looking at the setup for the turn. And now there's just nothing here. Where'd they all go? Yeah, nobody down here either. If nothing else, they've done a really good job clearing out. Checking the orders on these guys real quick. I did order a port attack on Townsville. It appears that that mission did not fly. Yeah, that'll be a little bit of a decision what to do with these guys if I want to keep pushing south and trying to detect anyone. Should I start doing port strikes in case enemy ships are trying to shelter by disbanding? Or maybe I just want to stop and refuel. Both task forces need it. Yeah, I mean, look how thirsty these guys are getting. Subs don't seem to be detecting anyone. We'll clear over here. Some activity around Pearl. Let's see who that is. Cruiser moving southwest. Kind of an interesting direction. Maybe they're approaching from the east, but they're going to get in line with here so they can approach Pearl Harbor itself in shallow water. If that's the case, they're already through. We've got no one in position to intercept. Let the mouse get so sensitive I can't tag these guys. Yeah, in spite of tightening the net up around here, we're still not getting our submarines detected. Guess I can go a little bit tighter still. Alright, that's going to do it for now. We'll see you again on the setup for the 21st. Thanks for watching.